How the Goodell Ruined the NFL. Every fan down in Fanville liked the NFL a lot. But the Goodell, who lived just north of Fanville, did not. The Goodell hated the NFL, the whole NFL season. Now please don't ask me why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on quite right. It could be perhaps that his tie was too tight. But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his brain was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his brain, or maybe his greed, he stood there in the office, hating the league, staring out of his window with a sour Goodell-like scowl, thinking about the Steelers waving the terrible towel. For he knew every fan down in Fanville below was busy now enjoying the frozen tundra they have at Lambeau. "And they're hitting the players," he snarled, closing the blind. "You can't hit receivers. They should be fined." Then he growled with his Goodell fingers nervously rubbing his hands. "I must find a way to keep the NFL from having such fans." For all the fans of Redskins and Cowboys would cheer bright and early, they'd sing to annoy. And then, oh the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated. The noise, 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 noise! And the more the Goodell thought of the players trying to get a ring, the more the Goodell thought, "I must stop this whole thing. Why, for nearly 100 years I put up with it now. I must stop the NFL from being liked. But how?" Then he got some ideas. Some awful ideas. The Goodell got some wonderful, awful ideas. "I know just what to do," the Goodell laughed, causing a racket. And he quickly grabbed his tie, and also his jacket. His suit was not washed, but he didn't mind the smell. "With this coat and this tie, I'll look just like Roselle. All I need are officials." The Goodell looked around, but since they wanted more money, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Goodell? "No," the Goodell simply said. "If I can't find officials, I'll replace them instead." So he called the small leagues, then he took some spare change, and he paid them with it, hoping they didn't think it strange. Then he watched some games and some questionable calls. The officials in Seattle might as well have been in Montreal. Then the Goodell said, "London!" and the league started down, towards the home where the Brits lay a snooze in their town. Then he jacked up the prices of the tickets they sell. If FIFA could do it, then so could the Goodell. He got complaints only once, for a moment or two. Then he hit the fans again. So what did he do? Why, he cracked down on the fans tailgating. That's what. "Having fun before a game," he grinned. "Why, that has to stop." Then he fined many players with a grin most unpleasant. Around the whole league, he offered no present. Clean hits, a handshake, celebrations, tackles. Low hits, texting, it was like the players were in shackles. And he fined them in droves. Then the Goodell, with such ease, fined James Harrison again, for a hit on Drew Brees. Then he removed all the beer from the stadiums with glee. "Dry games are safer," thought the Goodell, sipping his tea. Then the last thing he took was the logo from their Super Bowl. Now it was bare much on the whole. He made it the same every year, the old troll. And the one crumb of comfort he left for the teams was that there was no lockout haunting their dreams. Then the Goodell said, "If fans bring stuff, they'll be in Ziplocs or worse. They'll need to jam them into a teeny tiny purse." It was almost a new season. All the fans still a watch, all the fans still a cheer, as he stood there with a sneer. Packed up with their fines, letters, and the rules, it was all ruined. The rule book was retarded, written by fools. 100 feet up, looking over his work, he laughed at what he'd done. He was such a jerk. "Boo-hoo to the fans," he said, finding another fine to submit. "They're finding out now that the league is now shit. They're kicking off now. They're starting to play. They'll see no hitting. They'll hate it, won't they? Then all the fans down in Fanville will switch over to NBA." "That's a reaction," grinned the Goodell, "that I simply must hear." So he paused, and the Goodell put a hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising at the games. It was almost like they were chanting some names. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, this sounded like cheering. The fans were excited as the season was nearing. He stared down at Fanville. The Goodell popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every fan down in Fanville, the big and the small, were cheering, stupid rules, fines and all. He hadn't stopped the NFL from working. It works. Somehow or other, it works even with all the jerks. And the Goodell, with his Goodell eyes watching his screen, stood puzzling and puzzling. Why, what does this mean? The league has no logic. There are nothing but flags. They play games in London, and no one watches the Jags. He puzzled 3 hours, till his puzzler was sore. Then the Goodell thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe bad rules, he thought, doesn't ruin this sport. Maybe the fans, perhaps, still want to show their support. And what happened then? Well, in Fanville they say that the Goodell's small brain grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his brain didn't feel quite so small, he rushed with his rulebook to watch them play ball. And he brought back the fines and fixed the rules they were panning. And he himself, the Goodell, intercepted Eli Manning.